This is the Sencut Skarnax. Another great knife and another great name from Sencut. This knife is unreal. For 40 bucks, I hate to come right out of the gate with what it costs, but I was really surprised when I looked it up. This was sent to me by Sencut, and so thank you very much, Sencut. I appreciate this. This will most likely be going in a giveaway sometime soon, but I'm really shocked when I looked up how much it goes for. It's 40 bucks. And I love Civivi and Sencut. Civivi is just about the only budget-friendly knife company that I have a full-fledged sub-collection of, because their work is just amazing. And for me personally, it's really difficult to distinguish between a Sencut and a Civivi, sight unseen. If I had them both in my hand, it would be a hard thing for me to tell. So anyway, I think the work that comes from them is awesome. I actually personally like it better than the WE knives that I see. Though the WE knives are the super premium work from that umbrella knife organization, but, or I should say the knife companies under that umbrella. That sounds weird the way I said it, but Sencut, Civivi, WE knife, just making exceptional things. And I'm glad that WE does Civivi, and I'm glad that Civivi does Sencut, or however that works. But WE is on the top, Civivi's in the middle, Sencut's on the bottom. And what they produce is outrageous and outstanding for the price. Something that'd be very hard to compete with anywhere else but China. Anyway, this knife here is a beautiful swedged drop point, as you can see, with the thumb stud and the flipper. I've been using flippers a lot recently. They are just kinder on my thumb these days. Man, I keep saying I'm going to stop mentioning my thumb, but then I start flipping open knives with it, and I remember how I don't have the same feeling as I once did due to that stupid cut I gave myself. So this is 9CR 18 MOV blade steel, which, though it sounds like 8CR, is a much better steel. I think it's akin to 440C, if I got that right. And so this one with that beautiful coating on it and that nice swedge is very, very kind on the eyes, but also a really nice cutter. Let me just show you real quickly. I mean, it just sort of goes through like it's not there. Super sharp, but also nice and thin behind the edge. You got G10 handle scales and a deep carry pocket clip. I love the deep carry pocket clip that Sencut and Civivi uses. They don't have to go through all the effort to mill out the clip to have it rest in there, because it's nice and thin and it sits so flat. It does not menace the pocket when you push it in. You know how sometimes you'll have a deep carry pocket clip with the big rounded off screws. They hassle your, they make it difficult to draw, and they can destroy the seams of your pockets. Not so here. And also you don't have to deal with an unsightly pocket without a filler tab on the other side. So sort of a perfect combination there. You've got a nice thumb ramp with jimping there, and a lock bar that stands just slightly proud of the nice swale that's there. Very easy to access that lock, but not too much of an overcut groove on the show side, which I appreciate. I also appreciate this on knives when they chamfer out at an angle. It's in the finger swale there. It's comfortable, yes, but it also guides your thumb in the right direction when opening up the knife using the thumb stud. And I kind of like that. You've got a 3.79 inch blade and a little bit of a choil here. It's workable enough if you really need a choil, but it's pretty small, so I wouldn't really grab that in a hammer grip or anything like that and do hard work with it. You might find that edge a little menacing there, but definitely you can get your finger in there if need be. The sharpening choil. Now, those of you who do a lot of sharpening might want to chime in here, but it seems like this is a well set up sharpening choil. You can see that the plunge grind comes to about here when the curve stops. So I do believe you could get a number of sharpenings and remove some steel from this without bumping up against this. However, it's not so deep but the edge stops kind of with at a nice distance from that plunge grind. So I think that this is going to be pretty easy to sharpen and not get that smile, as people say, right there at the end. Really amazing action on this knife and a great size. I like a larger knife, and this is a larger knife with the basically 3.8 inch blade. That's right in my wheelhouse. I like the 4-inch blades. I go down to 3.5, and then sometimes, every once in a while, a knife will come along that's 3 1/4 that I really like. So when they sent this to me, they also sent it with this, which is so cool. This Civivi, the button lock, and man, the name of this is now escaping me. I can tell you, it's the Neurohaptic. That's right. This is the Neurohaptic. So these two dropped on December 16th, and as you're watching that's about 20 days ago, so I'm a little late on the ball, but I had to show these off because I've done a full video on this, but I realized I had not done a full video on this one. So they're still out there, and this is still considered a new release by Sencut, but 40 bucks. Now, MSRP on this is 46 bucks, but if you go to Amazon, for instance, you can get it for $5 less. But either way, 46 or 40, it is a hell of a deal. Really nice ergonomics on this. You've got your sort of regular peel ply textured G10. I love this green color. Now, let me show you the spec sheet that came with it, and I'll show you the other. This one doesn't have that. Usually they have other combinations. I do know that it comes in the neutral or jade G10, and I believe I saw it with a wooden handle too, but don't quote me on that. 58 to 60 HRC on that, and caged ceramic bearings, hence the super smoothness. Just drops shut. A really good middle finger flicker, which is my second preferred way to use thumb studs these days. And just a handsome knife overall. Let me show it with a couple of other knives from Sencut. Here is the Fantera. This was a gift from a friend of mine who bought it, and it was just a little too big for him, and he gave it to me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Jaime. But I think that those blade shapes are reminiscent of one another. This being a little more spear point leaf shape, but I love the swedges on both of them, and they're both pretty big blades here. This one is also 3.8 inches, but since it's so much broader, it seems bigger. And then here it is with this one, the Borzam. I really like this knife, the Borzam. Another great Sencut. Everything they've sent me has been awesome, and everything I've bought has been awesome. However, I've gotten rid of a number of my Sencuts, and by gotten rid of, I've done giveaways here on the channel with those. Thursday Night Knives, guys. I give away knives on Thursday Night Knives because I'm blessed with great friends who send me boxes of knives that they don't want anymore, and I end up giving them away. And chief among them is Dave of OG Blade Reviews. He always has awesome blades for me to give away, and he takes really good care of them, so they are practically new in box. This Borzam is a nice one. And then a knife that this reminds me kind of most of is probably my favorite Civivi of all time, the Praxis. I think this is a lot of people's favorite Civivis. It's just such a great design. It's a classic too. It was one of the first 3 knives that Civivi ever dropped back when. And I don't know if you remember this, but the liners were gold, and it looked so cheesy. I remember those gold liners. I'm not a fan of gold anything really. I mean, I like gold, the material, but if I'm gonna wear it, I prefer white gold. That's platinum, but I prefer white gold if I'm gonna have it on my body. I just don't like the color so much. And when it was in here, anodized, shiny gold, it was a little bit cheesy to me, but the design itself was so great. They just kept running it, and it's still probably one of their best-selling knives. This in that beautiful wooden handle, which I love. So yeah, this knife, as soon as I unboxed it, I thought, wow, that reminds me a bit of the Praxis, and has a lot of what I love about the Praxis in its design. So this, I know I've shown a lot of cool ones here, but this one is the Skarnax. Is anyone here old enough to remember Johnny Carson? Johnny Carson, the original late night host before they all went woke and stupid and unfunny. He was great. Johnny Carson was awesome. I only remember sneaking peeks at him, but my grandfather loved him, and my parents loved him. And he had a character he'd called Karnak, who was supposed to be a diviner, you know, as like a psychic, and he'd put on a turban, and then he'd guess what was inside boxes, and he'd always say, "Karnak, say," and then he would guess what it was, and it was always funny. So when I saw Skarnax as the name, it took me all the way back to the 70s. That's right, I was alive in the 70s. All right, everybody, thanks for watching my video on the Skarnax. An incredible deal at 40 bucks or 46 if you buy it straight from Sencut.